Okay, think about this for a second. Something just absolutely everywhere, but you probably never give it a second thought.
Mm-hmm.
The cap on your water bottle, that lid on your yogurt pot.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Who'd have thought, right, that these, well, seemingly tiny bits of plastic or metal could be such a massive, vital part of the global economy?
It's funny you say that.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the global caps and closures market. We're using a really comprehensive outlook from cognitive market research.
Yeah, it's quite the report.
And our mission really is to unpack the surprising facts, the hidden dynamics, and just show how crucial these everyday things are and, what the future looks like for them.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how we just overlook these essential bits of packaging? But this data, well, it really throws a spotlight on how significant caps and closures truly are.
Significant feels like an understatement when you see the numbers.
Oh, definitely. We're talking about a truly astonishing scale here.
Okay, let's get into it then. Just how big are we talking? What's the sheer size of this global market, and how fast is it actually growing?
Right, so get this. Back in 2021, the market pulled in $58.434 billion.
Wow, 58 billion for caps.
Exactly. But here's the real kicker. It's projected to hit nearly $75 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then looking out to 2033, it's forecast to reach an incredible $121.928 billion.
Whoa, so it's more than doubling.
Pretty much, yeah. And if you think about the bigger picture, that compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, it's over 6.3%. That's not just a number. It's a really robust sign of sustained fundamental growth.
Right.
This market, it really mirrors these big underlying trends in, consumption, manufacturing, global trade, the works.
Okay, so let's unpack that doubling. Over $120 billion by 2033. That's just
Right.
incredible. So where's all this growth coming from? Which parts of the world are really pushing this forward?
Well, no huge surprise here. Asia Pacific is still the absolute leader
The biggest slice.
by far. It generated over $23 billion back in 2021. And the projections, we're seeing it more than double to over $52 billion by 2033. That's a strong growth rate, too, over 6.7% CAGR.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Within Asia Pacific, are there specific countries really driving that?
Oh, absolutely. China is clearly a dominant force. It's expected to more than double its market size to nearly $15 billion by 2033. That's growing at close to 7% a year.
Oh.
Japan's also a really significant player. Projected to hit over $15.6 billion by 2033. Its growth rate is a bit more moderate, though, just under 6%.
Still substantial.
Definitely. But the one that really stands out, the one with the strongest momentum in the region, that's India.
India, what are we seeing there?
It's quite the jump. From just over $2.3 billion in 2021, it's projected to leap to nearly $5.8 billion by 2033. That's the highest regional CAGR, over 7.5%.
7.5%. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal for India. What do you think is behind that kind of surge? Any specific factors?
Well, the research really points towards rapid urbanization, for one,
Makes sense.
and a burgeoning middle class. That combination significantly boosts demand for packaged consumer goods, food, drinks, pharmaceuticals, you name it.
Right. More people buying more packaged stuff.
Exactly. Plus, there are major investments happening in local manufacturing capabilities, which, makes these caps and closures even more vital.
Okay, so that's Asia Pacific, huge leader, with India showing incredible momentum.
Mm.
Let's pivot a bit maybe to North America. What's the story there? Is it similar explosive growth or?
It's a bit different. North America shows substantial and really steady momentum. It indicates, a more mature market, but one that's still expanding consistently.
Okay, mature but growing. How does that look in numbers?
Well, North America chipped in over $12.2 billion in 2021, and it's projected to more than double, too, reaching nearly $25 billion by 2033. The CAGR there is solid, over 6.1%.
It's a doubling. Okay.
Yeah. And if you break it down, the U.S., already huge at over $7 billion in 2021, is expected to nearly double by 2033. Its growth rate is steady, almost 5.8% annually.
In Canada and Mexico.
They're showing healthy growth, too. Canada's CAGR is over 6.3%, and Mexico's is even a bit higher, over 6.7%. So, yeah, consistent demand right across the continent.
Okay. Interesting. Now, Europe often presents a more complex picture, doesn't it? A real economic mosaic. What trends are we seeing there for caps and closures? Any signs of, say, market maturity or specific innovations driving things?
That's a really good way to put it, a mosaic,
Yeah.
because what's striking in Europe is the diversity within its overall growth pattern.
So?
The market itself is projected to grow strongly, nearly doubling from over $8.7 billion in 2021 to over $17.7 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR just over 6%.
Okay, still strong overall.
Right. But the performance really varies country by country. For instance, the United Kingdom is actually leading the pack in Europe with the highest AGR, just over 6.8%.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Could be strong consumer goods sectors, maybe
Oh.
specific regulatory changes favoring certain types of packaging. It's hard to say definitively from just this data, but it's notable.
Right.
Then on the other hand, you look at Russia, it's showing a noticeably slower pace, just over 5.1% CAGR. Could reflect different market dynamics, maybe economic pressures.
Right. And you mentioned a rest of Europe segment earlier. That sounded potentially significant?
It really is. That rest of Europe category actually boasts one of the strongest growth rates in the whole report, over 7.4% CAGR.
Wow, higher than the UK even.
Yeah. It strongly suggests rapid expansion, perhaps, from emerging economies in Central and Eastern Europe. Or maybe it's a widespread shift towards more sophisticated, higher-value packaging solutions in some of the smaller, diverse markets across the continent. Definitely a segment to keep an eye on.
Fascinating. Okay, moving south then. What about South America? Are we seeing similar drivers to North America, that kind of steady expansion, or is there a different dynamic?
South America definitely shows consistent growth. It's maintaining a solid CAGR, over 5.8%. The market's projected to nearly double, from just under $6 billion in 2021 to over $11.6 billion by 2033.
So consistent. Any key players driving that?
Yeah, a lot of that is driven by the key economies like Brazil and Argentina.
Right.
Brazil is set to grow at over 6.2% annually. That takes it to nearly $3.4 billion by 2033. And Argentina is growing steadily too, over 6%, projected to reach over $2.2 billion.
So they're both really significant contributors down there.
Absolutely, anchoring that region's consistent expansion.
Okay. Next up, the Middle East. You flagged this one earlier as having particularly fast growth rates. What's making it stand out so much?
It's true, yeah. The Middle East is really on a fast track. It started just under $3 billion in 2021.
Relatively smaller starting point.
Right, compared to Asia or North America. But it's projected to more than double, hitting almost $6.5 billion by 2033. And that CAGR is very high, nearly 7%.
Close to India's rate.
Exactly. And within the region, you see some impressive country performances. Saudi Arabia is making a significant contribution, and its growth is strong too, over 7.3% CAGR.
Okay.
But it's the UAE that really jumps out. It has the highest growth rate in the entire region, projected at an astounding 7.6% CAGR.
Wow, 7.6%. That's even higher than India.
It is. This data really points to, significant economic development and just booming demand for packaged goods in those specific economies. Lots happening there.
Clearly. Okay, finally, let's turn our attention to Africa. What are the trends there? Which nations are leading the charge on the continent?
Right, Africa. Its caps and closures market is growing from over $5.2 billion in 2021 to more than $8.7 billion by 2033. The AGR there is just over 5.2%.
Okay, a bit slower overall than some other regions.
A little, yes. And within Africa, Nigeria clearly dominates the region. It's projected to reach nearly $5 billion by 2033, growing at over 5.8% CAGR.
So Nigeria is a major driver.
Definitely. South Africa is a strong second, expected to reach over $2.5 billion by 2033, with a slightly higher CAGR, actually, over 6%.
Interesting. And what about the rest of the continent, that rest of Africa segment? How does that compare?
Well, that's where you see the difference. While the value of the rest of Africa segment is increasing, it's doing so at the slowest growth rate in the entire report.
Really? How slow?
Just over 2% CAGR. 2.079% to be precise.
Wow, okay. That's a big difference from Nigeria or South Africa.
It is. And that slower pace might reflect, various challenges, maybe slower infrastructure development in some areas, perhaps more gradual adoption rates for certain types of consumer packaged goods in less developed economies compared to the growth hubs like Nigeria and South Africa.
Right. A very different picture across the continent.
Definitely.
Wow. Okay. That was a whirlwind tour of the globe through the lens of caps and closures. So much data. Let's try and synthesize this a bit. Having gone through all these numbers, what's the big picture? What are the key takeaways we should really focus on? Were there any surprises in there for you?
Yeah, let's try and connect the dots for you. I mean, the first clear takeaway is just strong, consistent global growth overall for this market. It's undeniable.
Right, that 6.3% baseline.
Exactly. Second, Asia Pacific is unequivocally the leader in terms of sheer market size, driven by giants like China and Japan. No surprise there, maybe.
But the growth engines,
That's where it gets interesting, yeah. It's the emerging markets like India and also the Middle East, specifically the UAE and Saudi Arabia, that are showing the most, well, explosive growth rates, really high CAGRs.
okay,
Then you have North America and Europe. Massive markets, yes, but their story is more about steady, substantial momentum, consistent growth on a large base.
mature markets, as you said.
Right. And then you have those fascinating nuances we talked about, like the surprising strength of that rest of Europe segment.
Yeah, that 7.4% was unexpected.
It suggests these diverse growth pockets are really active, and conversely, the slower pace of rest of Africa, which hints at, ongoing development challenges or different market stages.
So it's not a uniform picture at all.
Not at all. And ultimately, I think the biggest takeaway is how this seemingly small everyday item, a cap, a closure, tells a much bigger story. It's a story about global consumption pattern, about underlying economic shifts happening all around the world. It really highlights how integral packaging is to modern life and how closely this specific industry mirrors broader economic health and, well, consumer behavior.
It's incredible, isn't it, to think about how something so simple, so mundane, can be such a powerful indicator of global economic activity, of consumer demand. It definitely makes you look at every bottle, every jar, just a little bit differently now.
Absolutely. And perhaps this raises an important question for you, the listener. As we look ahead to those projections for 2033, what other seemingly small, everyday components might be out there quietly driving significant economic growth and maybe even innovation across the world?
That's a great thought to end on. We definitely encourage you to keep an eye out for these, well, these invisible but essential industries in your own day-to-day life. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.